Welcome to The Vault with Financielle. This is a safe space where we talk all things life and money and no topics are off limits. How are we doing, ladies?
We're good.
Yeah, no, I'm super good, thank you.
Yeah, we're all in monochrome today.
Yep, as always, on trend, matching in, blending with the background.
Yeah, we're repping the monochrome look.
Don't do colour, do we?
No.
But it is...
Even though Financielle's pink. We're like, we've got neutral tones.
We've got the balloon dog, sorry, not the sausage dog behind us for those people watching on YouTube. But I do have a stress about clothes at the moment with everyone's all about capsule. Listen, at Financielle, I feel like we appreciate the capsule because you can rotate pieces and you don't need to think about, what I'm going to wear, because if there's a good rotation of basics is a big thing now. Yeah. It's a brand in itself. But everyone looks the same.
Yeah, Laura says this all the time, and
there's
I
no
agree.
Colour. So like everyone. So if I wanted, I'm not very good at fashion, but if I wanted to build a fashion TikTok today or Instagram, I would wheel in a reel, right, with a plain white tee, a plain black tee, some jeans, some linen pants, sambas, blazer in 2 different colours, tan and black, maybe a white shirt and
a denim shirt.
And then there you go. So whilst I love the fact that those all rotate, literally it's all that's not hard. That's all the same. And I don't know, I just miss a bit of millennial colour. Like we would usually wear something bold.
I know, but then it was the thing where it was like everyone was getting fed up.
Statement.
If you wear like the bright blue dress, you don't want to wear the bright blue dress again. Yeah. So everyone, I think, it's a good and a bad thing because people lose personality and that sense of like unique fashion style. Because I used to like wear vintage clothes. I used to go shopping in vintage shops, drag Neil around charity shops. He was like, you used to drag me to the depths of Manchester in Oxfam and like save the children.
Yeah, and dig in for some good pieces.
Yeah, you'd be rummaging around.
But it looks so good.
Yeah, you've got a unique sense of style. Whereas I do agree, every week there's a new like athleisure brand launching where they've got the same like wide leg joggers, like grey tracksuit, like oatmeal tracksuit, cream, blue, navy. Like I get it.
The palette is just the same. And I do find like, when I'm on the BBC, and people do say, oh, do you get clothes? I'm like, oh no, this is the BBC. They're very nice, but it's like kind of feels like public money. So no, there's no budget for clothes. We wear our own or we borrow from friends, which I've done before, borrowed from you, Holly, before. But I find that every so often they tend to like you wearing colour. So I buy pieces from time to time and we'll wear them literally like once a month. And you get so many compliments. And I think it's because not only obviously nice dresses, but people aren't used to seeing people being bold in a colour or a dress. We're either in athleisure or we're in this rotation of palette. So it is hard because when you wear that capsule stuff, like I've got it on today, and you like how you look because that's what you're seeing. It's validation. Nice. It's like, oh, I look like all my TikToks. Okay, I'm happy. I'm like, I'm going to fit in.
I got my mum round to do a Stacey Solomon Sort Your Life out the other day. She is brutal. And now I've got the holiday wardrobe out and I've been scrolling on like H&M, River Island, Zara, New Look, like for weeks to update my holiday wardrobe. And I literally went through everything. It is a capsule wardrobe. It's like black shorts, white vest, black trousers, like linen, and it works. And I suddenly thought, I'm trying to be something I'm not, and getting these like bright floral things, knowing full well next year I'll be like, I'm not wearing that again. So it's good for the wallet and it's good for the planet. So I didn't have to buy anything. I literally I went through everything, and then she went, there you go, done. And I was like, you've taken my like scrolling time away because I don't need to browse for more clothes because I've got this holiday capsule wardrobe. So it's good.
Do you think that's something people need to do now then? Because it's summer, it's coming into summer.
Shop your wardrobe. Season, you feel encouraged to buy a new,
100%.
Update your seasonal wardrobe.
I think like you just said, go into your own wardrobe and I've got like kind of a capsule wardrobe within an absolute mountain of a wardrobe. Like there is, I'm going to say over 150 tops in there. And I wear the same 4 like on rotation. And I always feel like such an outfit repeater because I just wear this exact same 4 outfits.
Don't they
different variations? You can make like 80 outfits.
Yeah, people say that you wear 10% of your wardrobe or something like that.
I do that.
So do you want mum to come?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you need like an objective view. You need someone to be like, no.
That's not good. That doesn't suit you. That's nice.
Well, it's like, when was the last time you wore this? And someone said if you didn't wear it, it's hard in the UK because the seasons are so drastic. Did you wear this in the last 6 months? Well, no, because it's a crop top. So, we've come through winter. I hope I haven't worn it in the last 6 months. So you really have to then think back to the year, because the weather's so bad. A year before, did I wear this in spring last year? Did I wear this in summer last year? I'm like, I don't know, did I? Full well. You hold stuff up and you go, I'll put it back in. I've done it myself. And then I know she made me get it all out.
I've got a full, like, massive suitcase under my bed of all my summer stuff. And I got it out recently and I was like, I bought this when I was 16. And I'm like, it's literally the tiniest top. Like, why am I still holding on to all of this stuff? But I'm scared to get rid of it because then I've got literally nothing. Because for some reason, the summer stuff, because it is the time to, like, have fun and be a bit more playful, that's when I'm just like, I'm never going to wear this. That's when I do all my impulse spending. Whereas winter stuff, like, I literally live in jumpers. I live in hoodies.
Jeans.
Jeans, trousers. It's just so hard to not, like, spend on trends in the summer for me.
Yeah, we laugh about it all the time. What do we wear in summer?
Nothing,
Caftans to go
literally.
to co-op. Like, there's no summer. I don't think Brits do summer wardrobe very well. I remember going to work. Like, we used to work in a corporate job, and I literally...
What the hell would you wear?
Every summer when it was, like, ridiculously hot, I used to be like, oh my God, what the hell do I wear? I think I used to do, like, a smash and grab at, like, Florence and Fred in Tesco, because I knew that the weather would only be around for, like, 2 weeks.
Is that what F&F stands for? Who's Florence and Fred?
Oh God, I feel old.
I think it was Florence and Fred first. I saw a TikTok where this guy goes around his car dealership to all the young workers and goes, engine number 9
on the New York Transit line.
She knows, she's all right, she's in.
Did it not have a comeback, a resurgence, that song? I feel like it might.
Yeah, I feel like it's always been.
Possibly, but it's like that idea of, can you finish it?
Florence and Fred used to be. But I remember doing a smash and grab because I was like, I'm not going to buy. I don't even know what I would have bought. Like an office dress that was suitable for summer but wasn't like a, I don't know.
Have you seen a lot of these?
Going into, sat at my desk typing away in a play suit and Havanas.
Have we talked Office Siren on here yet?
Oh my God, no.
Office Siren is that there's a couple of, like, there's a collection of influencers, Instagram, TikTok, that like to show corporate wear. But I go for the comments. I'm here for the comments, and never being disparaging towards the person, just more. This person has definitely never worked in an office because they'll wear things that are completely uncomfortable, impractical. I'm not even going to talk about whether they're appropriate or not, because it's all each down to all of us about what we want to wear. But when you've been sat at a desk for 12 hours, tell me you're going to wear that tight pencil skirt and like uncomfortable shirt. Like, you're going to wear the stretchy thing. You're going to wear the thing where the waistband can move a bit. That however short it's going to be, you're going to be cold. It's going to be an air-conned office. And it's all the comments about these people that I think were getting sacked from jobs actually because they were promoting being the office siren. So not just about aesthetic and how it looks, but also being like siren, like, oh yeah, not like a Nino.
Let's think of who is an office siren. The woman from Love. Is it Love Actually?
Yes.
Love Actually?
Yes. So position as the
that's an office siren.
To pull people.
Yeah,
to be attractive, to pull people.
Because a siren is like a mermaid in the sea.
Yeah. Flapping your tail around.
Please watch this on YouTube. Lucy's giving siren vibes.
So there was this whole trend, and then it was like, oh, people getting sacked and stuff. But it does come back to that's not what people wear. What do people actually wear? And I really do like it where I find an account where it's definitely what they've worn, what they wear to work. They also will like commute in this outfit.
I'm just
like,
about to say,
on and off the tube.
When people wear trainers with like a really nice dress or like a pencil skirt, hokers, and they're sat on the tube and they're reading a book and they're in a tight pencil skirt and trainers, and you know that they're going to get off the tube and then put the heels on at the front door of the office.
Yeah, I've definitely done that, 100%.
When I was walking to the studio this morning, I saw there was a couple and they were on their road bikes. They had full like cycling outfits on. They were like cleated in and everything, and they had these massive backpacks on. And I'm like, are you doing that every morning?
Probably.
Taking all your lycra off in the office toilet.
Yeah, sweaty back.
Yeah.
Hopefully showering. A lot of people run to work as well, don't they? But
yeah,
you have to, at least they've not tried to like cycle in a floaty dress, which is probably going to be like a health and safety warning. Well, I'd love to know people's views on capsule stuff. When this comes out, maybe message us in, like, how are you finding it? Are you feeling pressured to, summer's here, like for the 4 days of sunshine that we might get this year? You know, how are you budgeting accordingly for that? And also, what are you paying? Like, I've been getting some, topping up with some basics because I've been buying like H&M and stuff, and they don't last. Like, they bobble really, really
terrible.
quickly. But I'm not brave enough to up the budget and
like
dip
a
into...
cos.
Yeah, I'm not ready to. I've had some Marks and Spencer's basics, which I've been really happy with how they've washed, really thick white tee. And again, it felt like a lot to pay for it, but then it's keeping. But at least if you think cost per wear, you're going to recycle it. But yeah, how are you navigating summer? Because are you going to the co-op in a caftan and flip-flops? The same caftan that you've had since 16? Because we all know we get it out the suitcase. Just iron it a bit.
Go on holiday, put it straight back in. Not to be seen for the next 12 months.
Okay, I'm going to go on to today's controversial opinion. Freelancing isn't the freedom it's cracked up to be.
What do you think?
So I have been freelance full-time for like 6 months before. And I think it's definitely hard to say because it's not consistent. I think it can be consistent. It's just super hard to get sucked up in there, like, oh yeah, I'm my own boss. Like, I can control how much I want to work this month, how much I don't want to work this month, like how much you want to bring in and everything. But I always talk about it and I'm like, I don't think I could do that full time.
Were you renting at the time? So you had like a fixed income that you needed to meet as a minimum?
No,
right,
I was living at home.
So do you think that helped in not feeling so stressed about how much you were bringing in?
Yeah, and invoices don't get paid on time, loads of stuff like that. You're not fully reliant on yourself or like a guaranteed salary.
Mm-hmm. So maybe not in as much control as people think you might be.
Yeah, and it definitely depends on your industry. Like if you're contracting for like 6 months or something, or you've got like retainers.
Yeah.
You just have to be clued up on all of that. But
freedom's an interesting word though, isn't it? It depends what people mean by freedom. Freedom to work with lots of different brands and not just work for the same employer in the same way, although obviously you can work for agency and still tick that box. But is it freedom on the type of work and client that you choose to do? Is it where you work from? You know, some people like working from cafes and from home and from bed, and they can be really productive from bed. And some people, you know, want to work from a co-working space. Is it time of day? Like, you know, some people want to work in the morning, some want to work in the evening, some people want to do weekends, or some people like the idea of not working at all. And I just don't think that's what we're talking about. But
I actually think some people choose freelance thinking, I can do a couple of hours a day and it'll fund my lifestyle. But the reality of that situation quickly comes crashing down, especially when you want to do things like buy a home. Like if you meet someone and then in 6 months' time you want to buy a home together and you've got to show however many months or years of like bookkeeping and stuff, it's suddenly not all it's cracked up to be sometimes. And we always defend people that want the 9 to 5 because it's been like de-glamorized as not a good thing, and like you're not working for yourself and you're not a girl boss and take control and have freedom. But actually talking about these things, invoices being paid on time, not knowing where your next job's coming from, you effectively have to wear like 12 different hats. You have to be in sales because you have to go out and get the job. And if you're not good at sales, you're not going to get any work through the door. You might get off recommendations from friends and stuff, but you've got to do your own accounting. You've got to sort your own tax out. You've got to know where you're working from. It's actually quite scary, and it wouldn't be for me. Again, like you, I'm similar to you. It just wouldn't be for me. I know that I wouldn't be comfortable doing it.
You're so right that because typically when you're freelancing, it's time for money. You can price it in lots of different ways, but to go out and network and bring in the work, everything's got a time lag, hasn't it?
You don't get paid for that bit.
You don't get paid for that bit, and there's a time lag as to, you know, you might network with someone today and they don't need you for another 6 months, and so you've got to get started, and then even when you get going, your time will cap out because it's time for money. So it's not scalable. It doesn't need to be scalable, but
you've only got so many hours.
You've got so many hours, so either. But yeah, well, Molly can't take on all the jobs if she's doing freelancing. Like, but she, you know, it's.
If you're the person,
if you're
got so many, right? I never thought about it like that. It is difficult to scale that. If you want to make more money, you're going to put your costs up. But if someone else is undercutting you or it's an industry standard, you're like, well, I can't charge anymore because industry standard for writing a blog or writing content for web or whatever it might be is capped at a certain amount.
Do we know many freelancers? I'm trying to think in our
think I
circles
do.
and friendship groups.
I feel like in my friendship groups, the people that have been freelance have then been so relieved when they've got a
They
full-time
dabble.
job.
Yeah. You've got that security.
Yeah.
A lot of it is sales, and I don't think people realise if you're like an introvert, you've got to go, where do you think the business is coming from? And I see so many people on LinkedIn complaining about invoices not being paid. That's the biggest kind of viral post that I see all the time. And the thousands of comments of people saying, yeah, I'm on a 90-day invoice from big brands, like they'll just kind of
we know Nick, who's the amazing CEO and founder of Hyder, HYDR, and she's built an invoice financing business. She's worked in that industry for years, and it was born out of the frustration that big companies like have 90-day, 120-day payment terms. It'll be in their default terms and conditions. And she actually, I think she works, one of her biggest clients is a huge influencer agency to this point, because one of their selling points is, you know, you'll get paid immediately for the work that you do and they'll collect it later.
Yeah.
And then they're not suffering. They use Hyder, and for a really, really small fee, as long as like the contracts are checked and everything's fine, you get paid, I think, within a day rather than waiting 90 days. And all the jobs chasing it, the time it takes. So
it's the brain power. And then if you're chasing invoices, you're not working or you're not going getting the sales. You know, you're paying, it's like the Klarna thing, like you're working for stuff or trying to get paid for the stuff that you did over 90 days ago.
Yeah.
I think the FMCG, so like fast moving consumer goods, if you're like, there's a bean brand that I sent to you, the girl on LinkedIn, she's doing amazing well, Bold Bean Company, I think.
Was she on Dragon's Den?
Yes.
I love,
so
I always see
notoriously the payment terms with people like a Tesco or a Aldi or whatever are really poor. Like for an independent, they are your 90 or 120, or they'll just stall because they can.
They want they're the powerful brand and they want the cash in their bank.
So do you want it or not? It's like, do you want the contract with Tesco or do you not? So a lot of these companies go under because they can't cash flow and get more stock because they're waiting for a big invoice to be paid from like a Tesco or an Asda or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely been glamorized. I think like the rise of TikTok and Instagram and people sharing what it's like, you know, you tend to find it's a bit more icky, and it's coaches talking about that lifestyle because they want to coach you to do it, and that's how they make money. So I think true freelancers are not sat documenting their journey on TikTok.
Not the time.
They're not the time, exactly. And like you said, Holly, I think contracting is a big one. You can get chunks of time, but that's not freedom, because actually you are at the mercy of a new client all the time. You become like an employee and you have to deliver during that time. And then where's your next contract coming from?
You also, very financial of us, don't get the benefits of being an employee. So we talk about pension all the time, and it comes up with people that are self-employed, but particularly those that are freelance, to price up a job and then go, okay, from that I need to pay my tax, I need to pay national insurance, I need to pay into my pension. And I just don't think a lot of people look at an invoice and think, okay, they just think it's take-home pay. And then when you really get into it, if you're an employee in a 9-to-5, which doesn't seem very glamorous, but actually it can be, you're auto-enrolled. So you don't get an option. It's like done for you. That bit of life admin's kind of taken care of. So it's glamorized. It's not for me.
No, I don't think it's for many people. I think if you're going to do it, you need to build up a portfolio of clients before you leave work. If you're in work, you need to really do the maths and understand what you need to be charging for whatever thing you do. Is it social? Is it writing? Whatever your role is, making sure that you know what you're pricing and that you're forecasting this, and that you don't want to make any big financial decisions in the 1 to 2 years after it, because that when you make that leap from employment to self-employed, it's no pension, no to pay for your own tax, lots of things that aren't as good as it's sometimes made out to be. I don't know. I don't. Sorry, this is the second time I've called out to the audience, been like, tell us about it, but tell us if we're wrong.
Yeah, share
your experience.
Yeah, we've done a lot of self-employed chat, whereas like it's where people have said like, is it glamorized? Is it good? No one's said I'm freelance, and I think you have to be seasoned pro. I think you have to have worked in something like an agency to know how to price bits of work properly that work for you. I think sometimes people just go into it blindly and they'll do a chat GPT. How much should I charge for? It's like, actually, there are good ways of pricing things properly, and you have to have the experience or the knowledge to be able to do it. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, time for our first dilemma of the day. Hi ladies, I'm at a bit of a crossroads. Just over 2 years ago, I relocated from the south coast of England to Edinburgh for a much needed reset. It's been challenging at times being so far away from my loved ones, but I've achieved so much in that time. I'm now fully debt-free and 2/3 of the way into saving for my house deposit to finally own my home after a lifetime of renting. One of my biggest reasons I chose Edinburgh was the abundance of period properties. It's always been a lifelong dream to own one. I thought leaving the south would make that dream more achievable, but Edinburgh hasn't turned out to be as affordable as I'd hoped. Now I'm thinking about asking my landlord if they'd consider selling me the flat I rent. I love this place and I feel safe here and I know the neighbourhood. I've already pictured how I'd make it my own. If they refuse, I'll have to face the brutal offers over system here. That means any offer over the valuation figure has to be provided in cash on top of the deposit and can't be included in the mortgage. As a solo buyer with no extra help available to me, I just don't have that additional cash. After years of sacrifice and frugality, I honestly don't know if I can keep going like this for another 6 months or more, just to have a shot at buying. The only other option is to leave Scotland and start over in a more affordable English city, one where I'd also save £1,800 plus per year on income tax. But that would mean walking away from everything I've built here and all my local knowledge. I promised myself that when I leave this flat, it's for the place I buy, no more renting. However, I'm worried another relocation could end up in being a more costly mistake, especially if I don't like the new location and don't feel safe living there alone. Any advice would mean a lot right now, as this is a huge life decision.
Oh, this is such an interesting dilemma, and we know the person that's written this, like the Financielle team know this person really well. She's so inspiring. She's been through a hell of a lot, and I really empathize with her because she's, like she says, she's acknowledged herself, she's come so far. She's become debt-free. She's 2/3 of the way of saving up for a house deposit. She'd envisaged this life and like she's built a life on her own in Edinburgh. Like, that's so brave, and I would never ever be able to do that. That's just something I would never do. So I really have so much admiration for her, and she loves Edinburgh. I know she does. So to even contemplate then leaving again and leaving to not buy a home must be actually quite mentally difficult, because she'd kind of decided in her head that like my next thing that I'm going to do after being debt free is buying a home, and it might be that that's not going to be the thing. So it must be really difficult to try and navigate this. The Scottish like buying system absolutely baffles me. Whenever you see it on like not A Place in the Sun, but like a Kirsty and Phil or whatever, I'm like, I just don't understand it.
It's scary, isn't it? No, oh God. When you've just gone to that trouble of moving, putting down new roots, the idea of doing that again because of money, I don't like the idea. For me, her well-being is like at the top. So she's a planner. Planners struggle with this kind of thing because they like to plan the next thing. I've got one of my best friends has just had a baby, and they have tried for quite a long time to have this baby. And she's a planner. She's a sports person. She's a PT. She schedules things within an inch of her life. She knows what she's eating when. She knows when the training, when the events are, when this is, and she can control everything. And not only obviously was the fertility journey just like massive for them. Now she's got a newborn that doesn't sleep, and she, we talk about routine. I was like, don't say the R word. Don't say the R word, because speaking from experience of 3 very different babies, you can't plan everything and you can't book everything. And I don't know why that came to mind, but it was just thinking about if you're a planner, not being able to have the next step decided is really, really difficult. But as we're getting older, because she's a similar age to us, and so we're not old, but we're getting older, this really, we want it to be about how we feel. Where do we want to be? Like doing that exercise, my future self, letters to my future self, like picture yourself in 10, 20, 30 years. Where are you? Where are you living? Who are you with? What's the vibe like? Can you see the sea? Can you see a period property? Like what is it that you see and want, and work backwards from that, because you have to get and it has to be realistic. It can't be like, I see myself in Blenheim Palace. It's like, oh, okay, maybe not this life. But we can dream, dare to dream and dare to picture that and then work backwards from it. And so it's really frustrating when money gets in the way of the things that we'd like. And what we like doing at Financielle is, okay, how can we make this work? Like, how can we workshop this to make the money work? And it might mean slowing down. So she has been super frugal for years because she has paid off an awful lot of debt from the past and from past relationships and started afresh. She's in the grand scheme of things, to compromise what she likes and where she likes for the unknown, absolutely. Yeah, it makes me feel worried for her. I'll be like, no, like, where would you like to be? And if it's Edinburgh, then we make Edinburgh work. Now, you might not be able to make that flat work. I would definitely be chatting to the landlord at some point. Sometimes it's hard about when you show your cards for that, because if you're not quite ready, it might make them get itchy feet and they might put the flat on the market. So part of me is like, wait until you've got that full deposit for what that estimated price would be, and then have that conversation so that you could press go. But otherwise, start to work out, okay, how can I make it work? Is it another 2 years saving? And it's not a too frugal, but it is the next thing because I like my life. It's because she wants to move on to the next plan.
Yeah, she's 2/3 of the way there. So half of me, so obviously cash is king, I would say. You're going to have more options in your back pocket. Like you said, you have to, if it's over the asking price, you have to have that in cash and it's not part of the mortgage. So to be in the best possible position, she's already kind of figured out that you have to be cash rich in this situation. And she's been on a frugal, like Laura said, journey for the past couple of years. And I'm always about making sure that you feel good. And if you've been super frugal for so many years, you just want to get to the finish line, and I appreciate that. But it might be a case of just scaling back slightly, holding your cards close to your chest. I would actually like to live here. Only do it when you're ready, because like Laura said, people have done it where they've gone to the landlord and gone, I'd really like to, I've known people where the landlord's been like, yeah, that's fine. And the rent that you're paying at the moment, you can have towards your house deposit, because that means that I've got a buyer. I don't have to go to an estate agent. And then the person's never saved up the money, because it's been like too good of a deal. They're like, oh, they get a bit lazy. And then the landlord loses interest and think they're never going to buy it, so I'll put it on the market.
Yeah,
it does happen. Like giving you a lifeline here, God. But yeah, cash is king. So I feel like you're 2/3 of the way there. If it's difficult mentally to just keep going, take it back down a notch. There's no signs of your apartment going on the market, of which you love. Just enjoy being there. And
that's what I was just thinking. It's in my head.
It's not going anywhere.
I was just thinking, if you're not on the property ladder, and that in the playbook, buying a property is optional in build. The reason I like people buying a property is, one, it's a lot more stability and security, because other than being able to pay the mortgage on time, you're in control of that property and you living there, whereas a landlord at any point could say, I'm now selling up. So aside from that, it's also diversifying your assets. So it's making sure that I've got some money in cash, I've got some money in investments, and I've got some property. So you're diversifying it. But there's no rule about having to do them. So I like it, especially once people hit the late 30s, early 40s. I do like the idea of someone getting on a property ladder, because as they then come into their 60s and 70s, they've got a bit more stability. But also, if you don't have property, but you have lots of cash and lots of investments, you can have lived the life that you want and built up the same kind of portfolio or assets that give you options later. And so, for example, if someone loves living in London, the idea of them solo buying in London isn't for them, and they do actually see themselves not retiring in London, then do you know what? Optimize your rent to get the nicest place you can for the money you can afford, and stack up that money, invest that money for the long term, take advantage of all the different high interest rates you can. Because later, when you want to make a decision, yes, it wasn't in property, and yes, you didn't get the increase in value of that, but it was somewhere else and it was increasing, rather than I can't afford to buy, I'll do nothing. So we do want to enjoy being and enjoy living, and it's really hard because you want to move on to the next step. But if she likes where she is, carrying on as she's doing. And there was a couple of comments about it's hard and frugal, and I think she slipped back into
that mindset of paying down the debt. Yeah, where you're like, I've got a debt payment date. She's now got a house deposit date. And it's like, you're putting these timelines on yourself. Genuinely, your village around you will not be thinking, should have bought a house by now. Why has she not got a house? Why you're not buying a house? Like, screw them. You've been on one of the biggest debt-free journeys we've ever seen at Financielle. Like, you are an inspiration to a lot of the community members. So I would hate for you now to be back in that mindset of lack. Whereas actually you've got 2/3 of a deposit, you are debt-free. You are in such a good, financially well position. And you use the words like safe. You feel safe where you live, and not many people can say that. And you've built this lovely life in Edinburgh. And I think my advice particularly would be to just stay there.
I wouldn't go anywhere else unless there's something calling you. Oh, actually, I've got loads of family in here or there. If you like there, then settle in. Decide that's your city. Decide that's your place. Romanticize your rent.
Give yourself grace as well. Like, you have to give yourself grace. You're a single person paying city centre prices. You're not going to magic 1/3 of your deposit like that. And it's going to take time. So I would hate for you to not be enjoying the city, as in going out tonight, think nice places to eat.
Well, now I'm like, show us your budget. That's the next your homework.
I'm desperate to see this person's budget and be like, you're being too strict with yourself. You've worked really hard. You're not going to go back to that place, because she's not. The journey that this person's been on, and she's featured in the podcast heavily before because her story's so
Do you know what
amazing.
we're going to do? We're going to send her out for a meal. She's getting a voucher from us. Yeah. We need to, girls, Edinburgh research, pick somewhere that she wouldn't pay. She's got the money, but it's in her savings, and she's in that mindset. So we're going to send her out for solo, gorgeous dinner, and she's going to have fun.
Like. Yeah.
And she's going to
guilt-free fun.
Yeah, because she won't have had to do it. We're going to do that. And I want feedback on, is the fun in the budget? I bet there's not. But it's too tight.
I like that.
Of course you like that. You're like, I will come. And it can be a duo
We'll
dinner.
decide what you're getting.
You have to so the rule at Financielle is you have to send the menu before you go out to eat anywhere. And we all decide as a group what we would, if we were going on this hypothetical, it won't be because she's going, but this dinner that this one person out of our group's going to, we all decide what we're going to eat when you get there.
We have a Slack channel called #food, don't we, Lydia? It's a very important, busy channel. Sometimes there's pictures, sometimes there's menus. Sometimes it's, what are you all having? Because if you're just confused and you want inspiration for lunch.
Sometimes it makes me jealous, and I'm like, oh, Alex, should we go out for dinner tonight?
Lucy shares her weird and wonderful
concoctions.
Do you want to share with the group what your latest concoction is today for your lunch?
Literally just tuna, rocket, and jalapenos.
Yeah, that's where we're at. That's how exciting the food channel is today.
I only had a small Tupperware tub, so I had to commit to the most important parts of the salad.
Poor Lucy.
Okay, time for our community win of the day. I've managed to save €1,000 for my emergency fund. As a single mum, it's taken me a while, and even a year ago, I'd have never thought I'd have been able to do it. I'm really proud of myself.
€1,000. Who's sat there thinking, where's she from?
Me.
Is she like from the continent? Is she from Ireland? Come on. Do you know?
I'm thinking she lives in Paris.
I was thinking the French lady.
Very possibly. Like pulling together that first 1,000 that you've ever done before is, for some people, you might be like, oh, it's just savings. Like, it's not a lot. No. When you've never had to do it before, when it's not for something, when it's just to sit there and to give you and your children peace of mind, or you and yourself and your cats peace of mind, it's game changing, because it's the start of everything.
I think for a solo person to have that is a game changer. To know that you can, because people just say the shit with money and that, and they just leave it at that. To go, no, I'm gonna.
You could buy 1,000 Freddos if you want to.
You probably can't.
You probably couldn't. 500 maybe now. Yeah.
But to have, like you said, when you've got children as well, or you're a solo person, to save up £1,000 and it be ring fenced for emergencies, you just feel like it's just such a security blanket. And that feeling of saving it up, people always put in the community when they've done it. Like, you'll see so many posts on, I've done my emergency fund, because it's just a mental block for people. They're like, I couldn't possibly save up that much money for nothing. I can save up for a holiday. That's easy, because you know it's a reward. You're getting something for it. It's tangible. Or like, I've saved up for a house deposit. There you go. You got a house in return. To just save up £1,000, like, it takes a lot of discipline to do that. So yeah, and even if it does take a long time, it doesn't matter. You've done it now.
It's like a Financielle canon event.
Yes.
You need like swim certificates, like
badges.
Certificate. Yeah.
On our towels. If you'd like to tell us your win, head to the community in the app or email it to thevault@financielle.com. Okay, we're going to have to lock in on this next dilemma because it's a long one, so settle in, but the context is important. So,
Okay.
is my boyfriend taking advantage of me financially? Hi girls, I have a dilemma which is really getting me down. I've been with my boyfriend for 3 years and we have lived together for 2 years in his new build property. He was in the process of buying this house himself when we first got together, and by the time we had been together for a year, his house was ready and he asked me to move in with him. Our original setup was that he pays the mortgage as it's all in his name. We split bills 50-50 and I don't contribute anything more towards rent or if anything needs fixes in the house, etc, etc. I would, however, take on the majority of the food shops. For example, if we do 4 food shops a month, I pay for 3. This setup has worked for us up until recently, where my partner expressed that he doesn't feel I contribute enough financially. He has never wanted me to pay rent and does not want me to contribute to the upkeep of the house, as he doesn't want me to have my claim in the house. So he has asked me to basically take on another food shop to readdress the balance. I began taking on another food shop, but then I've noticed it's slowly becoming more than just that. I'm putting fuel in his car, I'm paying more for our dog, I'm doing the big Costco trips, and I'm just slowly seeing him expect me to pay more for than just another food shop. I've told him that I don't think it's fair because he is paying off his asset while I contribute more to the house and won't see anything from it. But he doesn't see the problem with it being this way at all. He thinks I shouldn't think that way because it sounds like I want to take advantage of him financially. But me being on the mortgage or contributing to the house is a hard no for him. For context, we earn near enough the same, and because I don't pay the mortgage, I'm able to save a similar amount per month for when we decide to buy a house together. He states he can't contribute as much anymore because he pays off his credit card. I'm aware he has about 5k in credit card debt, but this has stayed near enough the same amount for a year. When I say I technically take home less than him because of my undergrad and postgrad loan, he says that it's not his problem because I chose to go to uni. I can afford to contribute a little more, but it just eats into what I'm saving. And I actually am saving as much as I physically can for our future, and he knows this. I don't know if I'm being paranoid, but I feel like he is gradually moving the goalpost of what I'm contributing, and I don't really understand why. We both grew up without money. He has witnessed his parents go through a very bitter divorce, which went on for a long time because they couldn't agree on finances. And I split up with my last boyfriend because I stupidly paid off a large gambling debt for him on the promise that he'd get help. Spoiler alert, he didn't. So I feel like we've both brought money-related trauma into this relationship. I honestly don't know if he's just taking advantage of me. Am I being unreasonable, or is he slowly taking advantage of me financially?
Hold me back from calling it a red flag.
I was going to say.
I know.
Wait a minute, I've got one here.
Am I right?
Yeah, she said, am I being paranoid? And I just wanted to shout, no! You're not being paranoid. This is not acceptable behaviour. And he is 100% moving the goalposts.
The language and being taken advantage of.
And the claim, he's like,
I don't want you to have a claim on my, well, when people have told him that, like and it's right, like, you need to be fully aware of what the law says, but where you are, where you can show that you actively contributed towards paying the mortgage, because rent's not rent, this is a rental agreement, it's not rent, possibly towards bills, or possibly towards upkeep of the house, which he's been very careful to say, oh, no, don't contribute to that bit because that helps you get a claim. Why is that at some point a bad thing? Like, let's pretend this is all okay and we're not going to tell you to leave him. So if this is all okay, what's next? So ignore the arrangement now. You can afford a bit of extra food shop. You're paying for this, you're paying for that. But it's not like an agreed amount. So it's a bit like, food shops are expensive, by the way, nowadays. Like, you might be better picking
especially
something else.
Costco.
Yeah. But it's like, he doesn't want you to give him money for that. He wants you to pay for the food so that he's protected. But what's next? Like, when is the plan to buy something new? Do you like what there is with that house, that new build house that he's bought? Because there needs to be, you've been living together 2 years, you've been together 3. There's no rules about time, but what is the next plan? Because if the next plan is to buy somewhere new and not this one, then there will be quite soon agreements about how much you're going to spend, how much you're going to be splitting things, or if it's because otherwise you could share what he's got now, but you can construct a legal agreement which isn't 50-50, and he can bank the equity that he's built, and you can hold a property proportionately. So she could buy in, 50-50 if she wants to, but she has to put up the cash and she gives it to him. Like he doesn't have to lose out in this scenario. He does want his cake and eating it. He wants this convenient relationship he wants this relationship, but he wants the convenience of, I like it this way, but you can help with food.
Yeah, I literally, my brain was, as you were talking, was going, he's having his cake and eating it, and I was like, did I telepathically say that to you? 'Cause I was like, she just said the same thing.
I think you might have said it in the description, or maybe I made that
I don't know, but he literally is having his cake and eating it. Like, it's inappropriate. The language that he's using, I agree. What is the next step? Because in your brain, you've been quite open and vocal about the next step is to buy a house together. Why not that? Why not that house that you're both in now? Can you not come up with some sort of arrangement? He's giving like final language. He's not talking future. He's quite happy to pay down the mortgage, but get you to pay for all the things that are arguably are really expensive. You've not got a good deal here. And he is kind of holding you back financially because as well, he's paying down a credit. It doesn't sound like he's paying it down. He's got a credit card balance that he needs to meet every month, but also chastising you that you've got an education that you're paying for. Like, I'm not quite sure.
That's not his problem. Yeah, like, that language is...
I don't like that. Well, your debt is my problem because like, if we're going to go into buying a house together, that if that's still there, your contribution is going to be less because you're paying off debt. So actually... I really don't like the language. It's dangerous language and I'm not quite comfortable with it.
If we were going to flip it and let's pretend she's the one with the house, we would be giving the same guidance. We would want her to protect her assets and her well-being. Yeah. But we would, what do you recommend in that scenario? I think it's always recommendations are for a period of time. For a set period, help, they could make sure he's helping contribute to dinners out, make sure he's helping contribute to holidays, maybe make sure he's contributing towards food shops. But what we would do is bookend it and say for a period, because after a certain amount of time, he then wouldn't be building up an asset because he's staying with you and you're getting the benefit of kind of paying down your mortgage but splitting some things. So what's the next step?
I would be curious to see what your budgets look like. Obviously, you're part of financial community, so I'm imagining that you have a budget. It will be interesting. You both get paid similar amounts, which makes this much easier because sometimes you've got a really complicated 70-30. It sounds like you could both come into this relationship with, you've got the same amount of income, so it just makes things much easier. But listing out all the things that you pay for, him listing out all the things that he pays for, and then going, okay, what we're going to do with the rest, because there's an imbalance here. Happy for you to stake your claim on your mortgage. But like Laura said,
I need to hold money back then. Yeah, because I need to protect myself. I do think that, if we've got this wrong vibe-wise and you're in a really good place with him and you have both come from scenarios where you're quite protective, I think the best thing when you're having these conversations is to raise that first, which is like, let's have a sit down, let's have a money date night, let's talk about what's next. So the arrangement we have, it feels like you think I should be paying more. Well, let me show you the past few monthly shops. Let me tell you what I spent on us.
Fuel.
The dog. Putting money in it, putting petrol in his car. That's icky. I don't like that. No. That's just weird. Yeah, like I wouldn't like a man to put petrol in my car for me. I'm like, it's my car. I can absolutely do that.
You're right, taking the emotion, because everyone, it sounds very emotional in that he's pulling his past experience of his parents' divorce. She's pulling, and she's admitted the trauma of paying off the debt by doing a money date night and having numbers. So not just saying, I pay for more. It's real easy to start an argument
look at whether you'd pay for more. And also, on the flip side as well, look at if this is still a better deal than deciding, not to live with him because that's what you want.
I'm going to go rent a house.
But I do think that's where you start to look and go, actually, is this about language and how it's making you feel? It's making you feel like he's making you feel like you're not contributing enough when you think you are. Do the numbers, have a look at the numbers. But I'll also have this conversation with him, which is, it feels like you are very protective of your asset. And I fully appreciate that. I'm protective of my savings, I'm protective of this, but I'm saving for our next step. So what is the next step? Because Bob, I'm going to call him Bob. Is it Brian on Girls Bathroom?
Yeah, Brian.
Because Brian, not copyrighted, I hope. Because Brian, all the while we carry on doing this, I'm missing out on growth of an asset because I'm not invested in a property and I want to.
And I'm committed to our future. We were supposed to buy a house
I'm saving
together.
Up for us. And likewise, if we like this arrangement actually, and I like this house and you like this house and we want to stay here and you want to keep owning it, no problem. But I need to protect my savings to grow. I need to invest them. I need to do stuff with them. I can't be giving you extra money for more food shops and for more fuel. So you can't have it. It's kind of not having it both ways. If he wants the benefit of just his stake on the property and no one else is claiming anything, no problem. But there's a boundary then, and I need to be able to fund, you know, my future. And that's the downside that we always say, like, it's a great arrangement where one person has a property and you move in together. But there needs to be a decision after a certain amount of time. Does that need to change? And if not, are you building up wealth in the meantime? And I think he'd be open to that, because why should he have the claim on a property of an asset, but you not? You should be able to say, no problem. If you are precious about this thing, and it could be something like you said from his past. No worries. But I can give this, and I'm paying a lot. I'm not giving any more, because just like you, I want to do the same.
It'll be very telling.
If he doesn't listen to that.
This is a test. I've got an inkling he's going to fail. And that's okay, because you will not waste 10 years of your life, because we've had a dilemma like this before where someone's messaged in, a community member then messaged on the back of it to say, leave this person.
In fact, more than one did, actually.
Yeah, and I've never been in that position, so I'm like, just leave him. Really, like, very immature. But you just get a vibe. You just get, like, I go with my gut, and the minute that you read that one out, the other one, and then a really helpful community member was like, I married someone like this, they will never change. Because it was what, I think the dilemma was something like, what's mine is mine.
Yeah, he has a what's mine is mine attitude.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is all about synergy and yin and yang, and we can be different, but you have to make sure you're protecting yourself. And you may not have presented this in the right way before. You've got another opportunity to, if it sounds like can I be on the mortgage? Can I do this? I think making it clear that if you were to do that, it's not to get a disproportionate claim on it. It's that, no, you've built up this, let's get an evaluation done. You can structure it with a lawyer so well that he isn't down. Like he literally nets off what he,
You're not trying
retains
to get one
it.
over on him.
No, he's acting like you are.
And can I just say, I'm really proud of you for writing this dilemma, because we are a financial community and it's all about being like financially well. And so many women for years would have just put up with this shit. And she's like, I feel like I'm being hoodwinked a little bit. Like, I should be paying into an asset, and I'm just really proud that this is a dilemma. And that she's like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel very financial to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And for years, decades, women would have just moved into a partner's house.
Thinking they're getting a good deal.
Yeah. I'll
Not
pay for the
married,
food. And
no
then
legal claim on anything.
They split up, left with nothing, but paid a hell of a lot of money to Brian's chicken fillets. Because they eat a lot of protein.
And they're expensive.
You're not telling me those Costco shops aren't cheap. Toilet roll, chicken fillets, Costco cookies. We've all been there.
10 kilos
I heard chicken fillets and thought, fake boobs.
Yeah,
I don't
me
know.
too.
Like, what?
Oh, no,
What's Brian wearing? Each to their own. It's fine, Brian. Don't
you
worry.
know what I mean? Whenever
pay for your own.
mums of teenage boys are like dying at the moment, because obviously the boys like want to get hench and they're like eating all the protein, and they're like
Steaks.
Yeah, when
steaks.
kids eat out of house and home, they're like, teenage boys are a different beast. And I've got 2 boys, and I'm just waiting for the day when Neil's
Start
like,
stockpiling
what
in
is
the freezer.
this? Steak for
Bulk buy.
breakfast.
Yeah, Neil has to do the food shops then. Switch around. Or let us know how you get on. Good luck. And hopefully it was all our guidance or opinions are well received, and the men, like, we're on your side, and we could have got the vibe wrong, but well done for asking.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Okay, that is all for this episode. The Vault is now closed. And just a quick disclaimer, The Vault is just a chat around life and many topics. We are not giving financial advice.